Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Thank you. No, you stay with us.
Right.
I keep you for the round table so that you can also give us a bit more examples and ideas. I was told to take the blue chair. Thank you. So I will not introduce Florent again, but I will introduce the two other speakers who will join me on stage. Barbara, somewhere here. So Barbara Pompili, most of you know the decades of commitments, engagement, and political roles for the preservation of climate and environment. Barbara started, I think, 2016. You were the secretary to the biodiversity, 2020 minister of, at that time it was all called ecological transition for 2 years. 2023, you have been appointed as a special counselor to the General Secretary of Environmental Planification. And very recently, you were at the One Water Summit as a special envoy from the presidency of the Republic. So very happy to have you here today on stage to give us also the political lens and the public power lens when it comes to water topics and issues. And then I will introduce Malek. Welcome, Malek. So, when I prepared the introduction, I saw you kind of had two lives. First, you were a successful entrepreneur in the telco space for 15 years. Then something happened. Maybe I'd like to hear what happened. And you switched in something at the intersection of art, sports, and environment. You founded in 2020 the No Water, No Us. You will tell us more, but you get the catch. Association working on raising awareness and bringing concrete solutions to address water issues, whether scarcity, pollution, and so on. Welcome with us. And so for the next 25 years, I will have the pleasure to be, as a consultant for once, the one who asks the questions. Looking forward to your thoughts. I will start with you, Malek. I think in my introduction and in Florent's introduction, we both raised the criticality of this water issue. You mentioned business impact, social impact, and yet, when you look around whether media coverage or even sometimes in company strategies, the place of water in it, it's not always frontline. In your view, since you're someone working on awareness around the topic water, where do we stand in terms of awareness and how can we improve it?
Hello, everybody. So maybe before to answer about your question, because water stewardship is equity, sustainability, and benefits, okay? But before to talk about the impact on the economy, on the society, do we know the water itself? If the drop of water could talk, all the truth is inside because there's only one water. It was everywhere, sees everything, and hears everything. Each drop of water is 4.5 billion years old. It means that the drop you drink was drunk by another human, for sure. Another animal, another vegetal. For sure it was drunk from someone from Andes, as Florent said, from someone with another color, another religion, by a woman, by a kid, by a man. So this drop of water will make a lot of, it causes a lot of issues. In fact, this one drop went around the globe several times. It went across every lake, every river, every ocean. There's only one water. This drop has seen all the birth of all civilization and maybe the death and the ends of part of them. So this is the water. There's only one water. There's no issue, in fact, about quantity. the number of drops is the same for 0.5 billion years. Billion years. The issue is the quality, in fact, to be honest. So what we are doing with No Water, No Us about this water. For this, we sent 2 climbers in Andes. So we made 2 climbs to raise awareness. We are using sport. I will tell you why, sport and art. We also bring 4 tons of material for school at 4,000 meters in Andes, in small village without access. We send 4 students all over the world by bike. So the action was Cycle for Water. 20 countries, 17 months, several installations in Asia. Why? Not to tell people we know everything, we have many solutions in France, but to learn. Technique is not the only solution. We couldn't find only a technical solution for water management. Culture is the answer. That's why you are using sport, art, and culture and education. No one knows really what water is. Maybe 90% of the people think that water is life is only a quote. We also made a performance show to raise awareness. We had the Season Africa 2020 label. We went across 9 countries all over Africa. In each country, to talk about one topic between water and human activities, because pollution is coming from us. So for example, in Egypt, water has a conflict. You know what happened between Ethiopia and Egypt. In Nigeria, 300 million people, the link between demography and water, and so on. That's why we are using culture, in fact, to raise awareness. And the name, the word culture is coming from colare, from the Latin. It means drop by drop. So to answer your question, in fact, I can't give you an answer about equity, sustainability, and benefits. First, we need to know more about water itself.
Thank you very much. And
so the understanding is under law.
And I think it's good to start there before we get into all the impacts and the consequences. Maybe turning to you, Florent, we talk about the awareness, and then there is the action. As you said, for the action you need the communities, you sometimes need also the money. The whole ecosystem of sustainability has been talking for some decades of carbon, then biodiversity. How do you cope in your projects with making sure that water gets what it deserves among the different angles that sustainability can take when it comes on building or financing a project?
Thank you. I'm amazed by the power of the innovation that we have. Let me tell you this. This is the easy stuff to solve. We can come up with the perfect matrices and the sensors and all of that to how to measure water impact and so on. I have no doubt there's so many smart people here and everywhere around fixing that. I have no doubt that this is, and it's very crucial. It's great to tell the beautiful story of the Andean people and so on. If we don't have the measurable, there's a trust issue here. And especially in the Western world, trust is resolved by clear data. Right? It doesn't necessarily work that way in the Andes. In fact, very short anecdote, when you come to someone in the Andes and you come with a paper of 50 pages, a contract, they're like, hold on, what are you hiding in those 50 pages, whereas trust with us is based on a handshake and a word? So my point here is we need to make our systems work somehow together, right? Learn the language of the corporate and the public sectors and understand very clearly, mathematically, what it works, because that's what we care about. But never forget how the indigenous people think and what Malek just said. From where I sit, the world is not run by economic systems. It is run by culture. That is what endures. The economic systems are changing all the time. Culture remains. It's what brings the heritage, our common knowledge, our common place over the centuries. But the challenge is that really learn and study to bridge those worlds with an open heart, not with just with a sharp mind, with an open heart and a collective intent of fixing that.
You stressed the importance of the heart and also the importance of the collective efforts. Maybe turning to you, Barbara, you were at the One Water Summit, which gathered extensive crowd from different countries to work around the water issues. What did you get out of it? What were your takeaways from the summit?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, this One Water Summit was a huge opportunity to try to raise awareness about this issue of water at the political level. Because water is seen by policymakers, heads of states, heads of governments, but also local policymakers as something very technical. And it is seen as a policy in itself. And we needed to have this moment to explain, to tell them that they had to take it into account in all their policies. And what you said about the consequences of water scarcity on energy production or in the global value chain, you didn't mention that, but it is very important. It means that if you don't take into account water in all your policies, it's a real problem. But a lot of policymakers don't have this vision because they are used to work in silos. It is a big problem we have in our countries because we work in silos, we have a culture of silos, and water is everywhere.
Right.
And because water is everywhere and because we work in silos, the consequence is that water is nowhere in the multilateral discussions. You have COPs on climate, you have COPs on biodiversity, you have COPs on desertification, but nothing, no place to talk about water specifically. And it is a real issue. That's why we organized this summit, in order also to make them understand that water is not only a local issue. It is seen, even by heads of state, as a local issue. And the local communities and the local authorities have to take it into account, but it is not a global issue. And it is very important to see the new scientific approach, which is very interesting. And I will mention the Global Commission on the Economics of Water, where there was a lot of people gathered, and especially my favorite one, who is Johan Rockström, who is a very famous scientist, who demonstrated the influence of what we do in, for example, in South America, the consequences on rainfalls in our countries or in Africa. A lot of people think that you have rivers, so you have transboundary issues on water, and there are a lot, and it is we have to deal with that because you see what is happening in India right now. We see that it is very complicated at a geopolitical level. But these people don't see the green water, which is water coming from evaporation in forests, and which are rainfall in other countries thousands of kilometers away. So we are all interlinked on water. It is not only about greenhouse gas emissions. So it was important to show that with some example during this summit. The second aspect was to talk about, and I already mentioned it, the intersectionality between water and other policies. And the third objective of this summit was to show that there are a lot of already existing solutions. So we don't have to reinvent what already exists. And of course, the community's wisdom is very important. We have a lot of new tools that exist. The nature-made solution, nature-based solution also. So everything exists, but we have to share it. And we have to share the knowledge, we have to share the techniques in order for everybody to draw some policies, including water in themselves. So it was the main objectives of the summit, but there are other ones. I will mention them later.
Thank you very much. I like very much also your last point, which is a lot of solutions exist, and then you were mentioning the scale earlier on. The big challenge now is how we build on this and bring it to scale. Talking about sharing solution, Malek, your No Water, No Us is both on awareness and bringing concrete solutions more available and more shared. Can you share some of them with us?
Of course, but I'm still in culture. I agree with you because culture is the link between technique and nature. Culture is the link between human and nature. So if to talk about solutions, so Patrick will agree with me. Sanitation and wastewater is our lifeline, for sure. No one dies because he doesn't have water to drink. But 4 million people die every year, and millions are sick every day because the water they drink is unsafe, not drinkable. And 90% of these 4 million people are under 14 years. So the issue is the bad quality of the water. So that's why used water is our lifeline. And just one drop could be a difference between a better world, or a worse world. You see this bottle. Imagine I put only a drop of poison inside. You guess, all the bottle is polluted and you can't drink it. I have a lot of poison. Imagine I put 80% of poison in this bottle. So the second one is just the planet we are living on. Because 80% of used water is rejected into nature without any treatment. Any treatment. When nature is suffering, people are dying, and nature is suffering a lot. So first solution, of course, is culture, to raise awareness. For that, we organize, with a large company, we're organizing talks to explore good practice, solution. We bring together government, athletes, NGOs, artists, companies, funds, because we need also money. But it's not enough. If you want to help someone, you must accept it. This is the same for all humanity. So raising awareness is one thing, but we wanted to go further. I will talk about business. So with the company FIA, France Industrie Assainissement, we made a compact mobile wastewater treatment plant into a container. We integrate the reuse of the water outside for irrigation, for example. With the sludge, you can make biocompost, fertilizer, energy. And why the container format? There's a Mexican proverb that says the smile is the same in every languages. The container language is also the same in all languages. So in a 40 feet, we went up to 1,500 people, and the price for used water is less than 100 euro per equivalent habitant. So very cheap solution. Mobile, closer to the people and human activities because the pollution is here. We were France Relance laureat. We were together a few years ago, but it's not enough. As I told you, 80% of the used water is rejected into nature. How can I ask to people to spend a lot of money to treat the water when they used to spend zero. Because you can reject everything for free. Everything ends in the sea for free. So with Jack, my associate in the company, we had this very simple idea. All our equipment should be free, totally. How? Artificial intelligence will help. So we need to link climate and business, because if we don't earn money, it couldn't work. So the idea is to give the equipment for the people, but even free things doesn't work. If you want the people use your equipment, there's two solutions. They have to pay. Impossible, because they used to pay zero. So they have to earn money with your equipment. So with our equipment, they will earn money by the output project. With the sludge, they will sell biocompost, fertilizer, or energy. They can sell the water for irrigation. Our objective in maybe 5 or 6 years, we are working on it to make all the equipment for free, and we will earn money with the data, with prediction things. So 60% of traditional wastewater treatment plant is concrete, 60% of the price. So we are trying to do something with more data, less concrete, decentralized, near to the people and near to the pollution. So the solution is less expensive, sustainable project, and if we want it to work, it must be free. So just maybe a figure about the global market of water business. It's something like 600 billion per year. This is the business. And we treat only 20%. When I was in school maybe 40 years ago, I learned this règle de trois en anglais. Okay, this cross. So it means, very simple, 20% treated, $600 billion per year. So it means if we treat this 80%, the global market will be $3,000 per year. So the solution, I think, is how can we make equipment for free, but we need to earn money. Okay. So near the equipment and not inside the equipment.
And I think it's a good insight also for the innovators or the people and companies bringing solution there to think, yes, about the technical solution, but also how you make it viable then for the communities and the people then that will have to implement it. I see time flies, but still two things I want to discuss with Florent and Barbara. Barbara, in your experience, I remember, for instance, some regulations that you advocated. I have in mind the plastic ban, for instance, for fruit and vegetable packaging, which is a reality today in France, and a good one. It's difficult to talk about sustainability without talking about the regulations, especially in current context. How important are regulations in your view, especially when we talk about a topic that is, yes, sustainability, but you said it's an health issue as well. Can regulation play a bigger role? Should they? Can it still play a bigger role?
It has to play a bigger role, and especially on water. And just as a new French ambassador on environment, I am working on the new plastic treaty, which deals about water too, and which is a milestone in our global water security, I think. But it's another issue, but quite linked to that. We need regulation. We need regulation because without rules, everybody will do everything. It will be very interesting. We will have a lot of very interesting initiatives. But at one moment, when you talk about water, which is precious, we need to share water. We need to think about our water usage. And for that, we need to regulate it. And for that, we need a plan. I'm totally convinced that we cannot succeed in dealing with water issues without a plan. A holistic plan including all the policies, because when you launch an energy policy, if you don't take into account the water you need, you will have problems with drinking water in other parts of your territory, or for farmers, for example, on other issues. This holistic approach needs to have somebody to regulate it. Comment on dit chef d'orchestre en anglais? Ah bah voilà, règle de 3, chef d'orchestre.
Director, orchestra director.
You need someone to organize, to coordinate. So we need to have integrated approach. It's the first thing. So your regulation has to take it into account. And the second thing is your regulation has to be designed with all the stakeholders. You need to take into account private sectors, financiers, of course local communities. In order to build a regulation, we take into account the reality from the ground. If you do that, these two conditions, you will have a good regulation which leave the actors on a good level playground. It's not very funny. We are not talking about culture, but it is about culture too, because cooperation culture is not the same in some countries. But you will have the basis to have a good policy. And as a policymaker, a former policymaker, what I can say is that what we are saying here is very interesting, but if you don't think about the implementation and the rules to have this implementation, everything is very nice, but it will not be efficient in the longer term.
Thank you very much. So I have a big timeout shouting, but still, the last word, maybe actually a couple sentences from each one of you. You have probably a lot of people in the room doing or trying to do water stewardship and advancing the water agenda. One sentence, what advice would you give to them to collectively succeed? Malek, please.
Yeah, 2 words. No. Orson Welles said that hypocrisy consists in looking the world as it is and not as it should be. Please look the world as it should be and find the solution for the world as it should be. And one thing, we can fight. Water will bring us together.
Thanks.
Difficult for a politician to make one sentence. But what I can say is talk about water. Everywhere, talk about water. I am very proud to see that at the international level, there is a water community which is raising. We have UN conference on water. It is quite new, but we need to talk about it because everybody thinks that water is there and will always be there. Yes, it will be, because there will always be water in the world, but maybe not for us, maybe not at the right place, and not for everybody. So please talk about water.
Thank you. And Florent.
Well, first of all, congratulating both of you, our colleagues in France. I think the leadership that you are showing and bringing those topics is crucial. I think we just heard France saying there will be a water COP somewhere, so turn the water summit, the one water summit, into something more substantial. I agree, the crisis, we're all thinking about climate change. Climate change is felt first and foremost through water, right? And so we have to do, and then we have to be very practical. I would love to invite you to help us. Here, I'm sure there are some South American crowds. I cannot believe that nobody at the governmental level is talking seriously about water security in South America. And I think what's lacking is that little nudge, that leadership, the convening power, right, of bringing people together and saying, we can do something about it. And that's, I think, where we need to work much more together, right? Yes, and yeah, that's the last thing. Go and do it.
I even have signals that we need to stop, I think. Thank you very much to the three of you for sharing your experience, your advice with the room. And again, let's continue to talk about water a bit more with Patrick. Thank you.